I'm Teresa Gross. I'm your guest host today for the Power of Prayer, and I'm so honored that Gloria Fountain will allow me to be a guest host. And she's so busy; she's got so many things in the fire trying to do for the Lord. I admire that lady. She really is passionate about God and just loves Him and tries to help people. And so, thank you, Gloria, for letting me be a guest host on your program. And it really is a program that is about the power of prayer. And people come on and they talk about how prayer changes their lives, how staying connected to the Father by prayer. And so I know that as you watch this program, you're going to be, like developing your relationship with the Lord and conversing with Him and having those, chat times and the like throwdown times. And so know that the Lord is right there with you all the time. And He's speaking to you and He wants you to be known by Him and He wants to know you as well. And so I hope you've got your cup of coffee. I hope you're comfortable on the couch and just ready to hear what God has to say through my guest today. And she's just a delightful, wonderful, anointed lady, has a powerful story of how God can bring you from one season to the next. And we've had some kind of incredible little adventures together. And so I don't know if we'll talk about that today. That may be for a later time. So anyway, help me welcome my really wonderful friend, Melissa Boyd. Now, Melissa, we have talked about what we think we're going to talk about today. Mm-hmm. And I want you to have full reign with what God has put on your heart. But we know that there's a story in our lives that we're walking out daily, all the time. And so you're a mom, and your wife, you've been married
7 years.
27 years. She has, can you believe it? She looks amazing, has grandbabies. What? We need your skincare, girl, anti-aging. So I'm just delighted to hear, because it seems through what I've seen you post on the Facebook and just personal conversations, that this last year has been a kind of a different kind of season, and you found yourself in a place, and you're like, okay, this is not where I want to be. So let's kind of go back to where you were and how that happened and how God has brought you out of this into this new season.
Okay. Well, like Teresa said, my name is Melissa Boyd, and I am a mom of 6 children, and I have two, a daughter in love and a son in love, and then I have 2 grandchildren, grandgirls. And I, back in 2017, I had to have somewhat of an emergency hysterectomy. And I was not prepared for what that was going to bring into my life. I was not prepared for that change at
Right.
40, 42, And so I didn't know how to navigate that. And so that is, it kind of, I mark that as the start of, like the beginning of the end almost. For that, I mean, the beginning of that season where I felt like my life was ending. And so, my husband, caring about me like he does, and he helped me, and we went to the doctor and got on some hormones, and so that did help the problems that I was having. But
So were you just feeling like no energy? I don't have anything to live for. I
yes,
just no motivation, no desire, no nothing.
all of that. Like I pretty much
Hopeless.
felt hopeless. Yeah. And so I could not put my finger on it. Like I didn't understand, because like if you're in a season and you're a Christian, then you know that you're a child of God. You know you're redeemed from the curse of the law. You know that you have confessed all these things over your life, and you know this, but for some reason you cannot raise yourself up out of that funk, is what I called it.
Right.
Like looking back, it was just like a funk. And so anyway, so through that, I did get on some hormones, and that did help. I tried an antidepressant at one point, was prescribed medicine to sleep at one point. Like just, I was just drowning in whatever I had going on, and I was trying every area to fix it. And so, I mean, I'm just going to be as real as I can possibly be because it's just part of, the process. One day, my kids are outside playing. My husband was at the house, and I got in my vehicle and I started driving. And the next thing I know, I'm in Shreveport. I didn't tell them
Had
I
no
was
idea.
leaving. Yeah, I did not tell them I was leaving. I just am leaving. And in my head, I am doing the right thing for them. Like
In
I
your
am
head.
in my head, I'm doing the right thing for my children. I am going to take myself out of this situation because I'm miserable, so I feel like I'm making their lives miserable. I'm miserable, I'm making my husband's life miserable, and so they will all be better off without me. So when I left the house, I had every intention on like just driving until I ran out of gas or whatever. And then I didn't know what I would do,
You weren't consciously doing anything.
I wasn't
You just driving.
exactly. I'm just driving. Well, so I get to Shreveport, and my son lives in Houston. My oldest son, Bryant, and so when I get to where would be the exit to take to go towards Houston, like just something just woke me up and just told me, okay, or I just came to myself enough to say, okay, I have family in Houston. I can go there and, you know,
Something
maybe
was
come
crying
up
out,
with a
I need
plan.
help, and there's just a
Exactly.
place I can go.
Right. You're exactly right. So my sister lived in Houston, so I wasn't sure if I was going to her house to hide or if I was going to go to Bryant's house to hide. But in those 6 hours, 5.5 hours that it took to drive, I ended up at Bryant's house. And so he had no idea I was coming. And so I just show up. And I am just crying, and I'm a basket case. And his wife, he's married. His wife was there at the time, but she was attending college in Tulsa, Oklahoma at Oral Roberts University. And so she was like flying out that night to go back to school. And so Bryant was like, I think he was probably in shock. She was in shock. I'm sure she hated to leave because she was like, oh my goodness, like, what do we do? So I stayed at his house. He went and took her to her parents' house, who they were going to drive her to the airport. And so anyway, he comes back and he loved me. That's what he did. He loved me. And in that season, I needed to be loved. I needed to be loved past what I felt was a failure, because I had failed my kids, I had failed my husband. And so Bryant just let me
And
stay
probably
there.
feel like you failed God,
Yes,
Melissa.
and most certainly failed God. And so, anyway, so Bryant, he loved me. He took care of me. He was precious. And so we made it through that season. And so or that week, and then Chip was calling like, look, you've got to come home. We have 4 kids still at home, and
I
I
can't
can't
do
do
this by
this
myself.
without you. You're going to have to come home. So I, pack up my little stuff and I go home. Now, I would love to tell y'all that the Lord spoke to my heart while I was in Houston, and that when I got home, everything was fixed and everything was great. But that is not what I'm here to say today. That was not a fix. And
But it was a
so
start,
it was a
Melissa.
start. Exactly. It was the start. And so anyway, so I get home, and we're still going through the motions of, life, and there's things we have to do as parents and wives, and we just got to get it done. And so that's what I set out to do. And there were some days that I literally could not drag myself up out of the bed. I did not know why I couldn't, but I just could not. And so now we'll fast forward to
That's 2017.
that's 2017. Well, we'll fast forward to 2019, because this was not a short season. Like, it was, one that, like, I mean, literally prayer, I think, and that of my husband and of my older children was the thing that was holding me together enough to make it to the next step. I remember driving down the interstate thinking about running my car off the road, because in that moment, still, they would be better off without me. It's in my mind, this is what I thought. And it's not true. It was all lies of the enemy. And I see that now, you know. But anyway, so we decided to go on a family vacation in 2019. We all went to South Padre Island in Texas. And so I was still struggling at this point, but I love my family. And the thought of having them all together in one place at one time was just like heaven
That
to
was
me.
heaven.
Right. Because
Because
everybody's
the two older ones were going to come and everything.
right.
Okay.
And my grandbabies,
Oh, okay.
and like we would just all be there together for the first time in a very long time. So anyway, as we were at South Padre Island and they would go out to the beach and I would watch from the window, you know, but I'd make an excuse of why I should hang back, or, you know, like I need to, you know, I'll keep the grandbaby because she was not even a year old at the time. So she was 6 months. And so I'll just keep her and I'll just stay here in the room. And so in all that, I realized that I was watching life, but I wasn't living life, you know. And so I made a decision, and I don't know like how. I mean, I can't say it was some big epiphany or something like that, but I made a decision when we got back from that trip that I would no longer live life on the sidelines.
No longer just watching.
No longer watching. I wanted to live my life to the fullest, and I still had many years to live, and I was not going to let Satan steal any more years from me, from my husband, from my children. And so I decided to start exercising, and I got in the Word. I and ladies, I'm just going to tell you, if you're in a season like that, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, whatever it is that you're watching, those are not your friends. They are your crutch. And so I would escape into other people's lives, not living my own life, or not, certainly not living my best life. And so I made a decision that everything was cut off at our house. We had no TV provider. We cut everything off. And so then I deleted whatever from my tablet that I needed to delete from shows that I was watching and
Right.
movies that I was watching. And so the Lord just allowed me to have the strength to be able to do that. And so instead of watching those things, we started watching and seeking out movies that would be faith-based, that would build our faith, that would build our, and just delving into the Word and watching preaching on, there's, yes, there are so many things available out there to encourage you through whatever season that you're going through. And so, anyway, and the kids had seen me down for so long that it was hard for them to think, okay, she's good, like we're gonna be okay. And so I think, I've often complained about my oldest that lives at home is Marley, and she had become like a mother,
To
like
survive.
to
I mean,
survive.
that's what she was thought she was supposed to do.
Exactly. So we have dad, we have mom who can't get out of the bed, so I'm going to need to pick up the slack, until, and she's 11. And so she's, would fix sandwiches or do whatever, try to
Which
keep
she would be
everybody.
like 9 and 10 when all this was
Exactly.
going on.
She was 9 and 10. So anyway, so I have had to take back the mothering from her, and it's been hard.
For her?
Yeah, mostly for her. And because she doesn't understand how to be a sister to her siblings, she only knows how to take care of them. And so she should have never had to do that, but she did. And so that's just something that, we're
But God
having to
heals
battle.
that,
He
Melissa.
does. He so does. So I am saying that the power of prayer is something that there is nothing else like. I can say that today I am on 0 hormones, 0 antidepressants, 0 sleeping medication. Like the Lord, when He delivered, But I know that there are things that I have to do in order to hold on to that deliverance. And that is, I have to stay in that Word. And I have to be instant, in season and out. I have to reach out to people and try to help them in their situation where they're at, so I don't slide back into,
But
my,
neither do you tell people in their situation, okay, God's going to do it for you like He did it for me.
no,
But you're there as a support to say there's a way out.
there is
Now, how God
definitely
brings
a way
you out may not be how He brought me out, and it probably won't be how He'll bring you out
That's exactly right.
because He's so individual speaking to us. Melissa's not telling you to get off antidepressants.
I am
okay?
definitely
Please
not.
don't do that.
They have a plan, they have a purpose. If you need medication, you need to take it. I have only been off the hormone for 10 weeks, and that is only because my insurance stopped paying for it. I mean, I'm just
But
going to
you're
be
doing
real.
okay, but you're doing
But I'm
okay.
doing wonderful, and the Lord has, helped me, guided me. I was able to go off of it gradually. I was, like I
So
had
it
a
wasn't a
plan
real
and a
big
purpose.
break. Okay.
No,
that's not good for
absolutely
your
not.
body either,
No,
Melissa.
it's absolutely not. So we're not going to do anything that's detrimental, and we're never ever going to feel condemnation for seeking medical help for a situation that is medical.
Thank you for saying that.
Okay.
You can be free. You can be
You
free
can
to
be
do that.
free.
You don't have to be condemned or feel like you're less than or that shame that comes, like, oh, I can't get it together. Oh, I just don't know what I'm supposed to do. Because we are physical. We are spirit, we are soul, and we are physical. And when you had that surgery, your whole body just went into a complete tailspin. And so physically your body was not getting some things it needed to get. And so it caused a lot of that depression. And so when that happens, Satan goes, oh, I got a doorway. And he slides right on in there and tells you those lies that you know in your right mind that that is not the truth. But in that moment, it was what you believed and it was true at that moment.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And if you find yourself there, please
reach out to
Yeah.
someone. Like I can remember, we still have a relationship with the doctor that we went to because Chip took me to the doctor, and he was more or less in tears saying, "I love this woman. Fix her." I know this is not normal. Fix my person here, And so still to this day, every time I go to it's a nurse practitioner, but every time I go to her, she goes, your sweet husband. I just love him.
He is sweet, Melissa. He is sweet.
And so don't be afraid to ask for help because there is help available. There's help in, counseling, and there's help in, there's so many other avenues that I could have explored.
The relationship with the Lord, I know, like immediately you didn't just run to the Word. And I want you to be okay with that. But you knew because of who God is in your life, that's where I want to get to. But He was sweet enough to hold your hand and walk you through to, oh, now I can open that Bible. Because there are times in my life I've opened the Bible, Melissa, and I'm like, I don't even know what I just read.
I know.
And then you can't pray. There are times you just can't pray.
That's why I said I wish that I could tell you guys that I had went to Bryant's, I had got along with the Lord, I had gotten the Word, and I had got loved on, and that it just, the Lord just spoke into my life, and that was the turning point. But I didn't go in the Word. I went into Grey's Anatomy 15 seasons. I'm just being real, y'all. I just wanted to escape my whole life, and which you can't. It's your life, and you can't escape it, and that's what we do with a lot of this binge watching. With all these TV shows that we binge watch, it's just an escape. And so we don't want to escape. We want to live our best life. And how we do that is we reach out, we get help. If we, it is a chemical issue. Okay, now that was a chemical issue. I went from having full hormones at 42 to having zero hormones at 42. Right. And so within just a matter of weeks, they just left my body, and I didn't know what was going on. And so then I was, would be just standing somewhere, and all of a sudden I'd break out in a sweat, and I didn't know what was happening, And so even though, and I think that we as women, we're so private, and we don't share our stuff.
Well, the culture tells women they're supposed to be all that, all that, all that. And in our minds, we're thinking, well, I will never be, or for me, I will never be enough.
Right.
Even at 58 years old, I will never be enough. But that is not true.
No, it is absolutely
And so
not
when we
true.
begin to look at ourselves, really, when you had that watching the beach scene and you're looking at that and going, my life is, I'm sidelined. Well, in that, there's that little prick, just a little prick of the Holy Spirit that says, but you don't have to be sidelined. And so just that little bit of truth could pierce that lie, and you begin to build on the truth.
Exactly, exactly, you do. And so you need to, I stayed so hidden. Like nobody would have ever known that I was going through all that because I stayed hidden because I was in shame. I felt ashamed, so I wouldn't have shared what I was going through with anybody. Even Chip, he covered it. Like he didn't tell anybody I left and stayed gone for a week. He has a job that he took the kids to work with him. He never called anyone in our family and asked for help. He did everything that he needed to do in that time because he wanted to protect my reputation. And so, I do not think that you're a person that should go and air your dirty laundry out everywhere.
No,
But
especially on Facebook.
exactly. But I am telling you that there is help for you if you reach out to the right people. And so every day or every few days, my son that lives in Houston, he's a mighty man of God, and he would send me a scripture, or he would say, Mom, I want you to know I'm praying for you and I'm believing for you. So like in this season of us having to go through all this, I knew that there was people that were holding me up when I couldn't hold myself up. So that is a big thing for you in your life.
And the thing that we as Christians sometimes portray in our culture is that we're supposed to have it all together and that there shouldn't be brokenness in our lives. But only till we go through some breaking do we really find the true intimacy, the true relationship uh, that the Father wants with us and for us. And you really can't help some people until you've been a little broken.
That's exactly right.
And not that we'd ever like, oh, let's jump on that and do that. But in that and walking through it, you can see, wow. Because now you can share with people that are walking through these. I mean, this is real stuff. This is real life. And we're Christians and you were loving God and boom.
Yep. The rug was just jerked out from under me, or so I felt like. And I went through a humbling. And if you've never been humbled, then you do not even know the depths of what it means to be humble. Humble is not thinking bad of yourself. Humbling is thinking more of someone else than you think about yourself more often. And so I had to research that and I had to think on that. Like whenever I was wrapped up in that depression, I was only thinking of myself all the time and my pain and my anguish and things I was feeling. So I was totally introverted into what was going on in my own personal life. And so I was never thinking of reaching out and helping anyone. And so I feel like that all of that season humbled me and made me realize that it's just not about me. I can rise above. I can, reach out. I can help others. I can, be everything that the Lord needs me to be in this season, and I can be comfortable in my own skin.
I would say that's probably, by just watching the season and knowing a little bit of the story, is I can be okay with who Melissa is, and my skin is okay with the Father and where I am and what I'm walking out. We are in a good place because I don't have to be anybody but me.
That's exactly right.
And your identity, and I know we say this, and I know people probably get tired of hearing it, but your identity is wrapped up in the Father. But walking that out through some really tough times, it takes some hard work, and it is a process. And it is willing to say, I'm just not walking this out very good, Lord. I need you to come and help me, really help me. Because I know for me, the times I've walked through some hard times, I thought I had the right prayer. I thought I had the right book. I thought I had, everything together. but sometimes you don't.
No.
And so you
You're
just
right.
have to cry out to God. And I can't believe this, but we're running down to the last few minutes.
Yeah.
I want you to tell people, like, you have a live Facebook that you and your friend Brett Vines do, and it's on Mondays. So kind of tell them how they could contact you if they want, for you to pray for them or just,
Yeah.
maybe minister to them after watching the program.
Um, my Facebook is Melissa Young Boyd, and and we do a live Facebook every Monday. Me and my friend Britt Vines, we usually try to be on live by 9. With our kids being home now for the next 30 days, that may look a little different. But we are definitely committed because we feel like God has placed us in this season, and we wanted to be able to reach out to women and to help them right where they're at. And you are free to message me on Facebook at any point. Send me a friend request, and I'm on Facebook a good bit. I won't be on Facebook as much because now my kids are home all day. But I will, I do check my messages frequently, and I do try to get back with people.
Great. Thank you, Melissa, for, just being honest and real and vulnerable with your story and what you're walking out. That you, by no means, are saying just because you have a live Facebook that you're got your act together. But neither do you have anything to be ashamed about, Melissa, because God has worked, like you said, through people that loved you, cared about you, through counseling, and through just His Spirit that is so personal and comes in and ministers to a heart that was broken. And you couldn't help that your heart was broken and that your body did a tailspin on you. And so I want you to know that if your world is in a tailspin right now, or you're twirling and you think that there's a tsunami that's hit or a hurricane and you can't find your grounding, I want you to know that if you will just take little bits of where you are and present it to the Father and say, this is all I have, God. This is all I have. I can't breathe. I can't pray. I can't even read my Bible. So, Lord, here I am. Will you be the I am of my life? And He will. He'll be Jehovah Jireh. He'll be your provider. He'll be Jehovah Nissi, the banner over you that loves you. He never stops loving you. And you can count on His character. It never changes. So whether you feel it or see it, He is always the same. And He's omnipresent. And He's omnipotent. And He's all powerful. And He loves you. Be blessed.